I've met with the princess and her party, and we have made arrangements to finalize your divorce with her. And what does the princess think of our final terms of agreement? The party has decided to confer the finer details, but in the meantime, she has requested that she could keep your castle, 20 acres of lush greenery countryside from your kingdom, and also a photo of you demolishing a carrot cake embarrassingly at your wedding. In order to make this transfer easy, she has given you back some of your items. No, this won't do. But let's send this package over to the princess. You had a board game made about your divorce? And tell the Princess Lakia that I'll see her in court. Kune v Lakia, a Chronicle of a Royal Lapine Divorce Foretold, is a game for 2 players, where players take on the role of either the Duke, Kune, or Lakia, the Princess, in this deck-building game for 2 players, as they try to resolve their divorce by influencing the 5 courtiers, high and powerful aristocrats in the royal court. Kune v Lakia, a Chronicle of a Royal Lapine Divorce Foretold, is a game designed by Babas Giannis. It's published by Ludi Creations. It's for 2 players, and each game takes about 30 to 45 minutes. Players will plot, influence, counsel, and store property items in order to gain the most prestige points as a result of the divorce. The player with the highest amount of prestige points at the end of the game wins. After this divorce, I'm going to bury the hatchet. To set up a game, decide who's going to be Lakia, who is going to be Kune. If the player chooses Kune, they also get the edge card. So the players then place out the 5 courtiers with a carrot token underneath each, and each courtier gets a deck of 5 cards. So these are shuffled up at the beginning of the game, and you're randomly building up those decks. The white represents the fact that they're neutral. They're neither for the princess or for the duke. Then if it is purple, it means they're ambivalent. They're not really quite sure which way to sway, but either player can use their special ability at the bottom. Then if it is red, it means the princess has control or has gained her support, and the princess can use this ability. And then if it's on the blue side, this symbolizes the duke gaining the sorcerer's support. And you might notice that the actual abilities and the icons down below are slightly different for each player. Persuading those aristocrats is one of my best options. Can I entice you to try my very special carrot cake? At the beginning of a game, each player starts with 5 property cards. It kind of represents the assets that the Duke and the Princess have accumulated over their time together. Now, when you're first player, you'll probably allocate the assets based on the actual symbols here. So the K represents the Duke, and the L represents the princess. So you do that, give out those cards based on what is said here. But on actually subsequent games, you can actually lay all the property cards out on the table, and then players can draft their initial hand by choosing the cards one at a time, and thereby changing, I guess, the beginning of the game and changing how the flow of the game is going to work. This ring isn't even worth the 24 carats it's made from. Nor does it even taste like one. On a player's turn, players can take one of the following actions: influence, counsel, plot, or pass. If the player has the edge card, they can use one of the edge card abilities. I hope that my friendship with the Duke will be remembered. When a player chooses to influence a courtier, they aim to try and persuade them to come to their way of thinking. Players select a courtier and play cards that have a set of matching icons that match and correspond with that courtier. Then they can flip that card over and switch it to their influence color. The player then discards the cards with the corresponding matching icons. For example, I would need to discard the fan, the crown, and this card is quite special because this card gives me a bonus icon. I can choose either the sword or the pot, and I will discard this into my discard pile. Some cards have the word influence on it, and these can be triggered when a player selects the influence action. Switching a courtier's color, if it's white, switch it over to your color, because I'm playing as Lakia the princess. If it is of the opponent's color, and so my opponent is the duke, you would switch it to purple. The only way a character can turn back to the color white is by using the edge card. Players then draw a card from their courtier's deck and place it in their discard pile. If a player selects the influence action, they actually resolve any of these three sub-actions in any order. They can draw a plot card, switch courtier allegiances, and trigger any influence effects that they have on the cards that they've played. I couldn't believe my furry ears when I was told that the sorceress was on the princess's side. When a player counsels a courtier that they own or a neutral courtier, they use their ability and they seek their assistance. Either select a purple courtier or one from their matching color, and they place the carrot on it to signify that they're using that character's counsel ability. Once a carrot is placed on a courtier, that ability can't be used again for the rest of this round. Each courtier has their distinct flavour in terms of their ability. The Countess allows a player to take from a player's discard and reuse them on a particular round. The Abbot allows a player to gain a card and switch its position with another courtier. A Sorceress allows a player to gain a card from any deck. The King's actions involve taking and manipulating where the edge card goes, and the Knight is focused mainly on discarding your opponent's cards. The Counsel action only allows players to gain the bonus abilities of those courtiers in which they have successfully influenced. The purple ambivalent courtiers can be activated by any player. When a player uses a plot card, they take a flavor-based action as outlined by the cards in black. When players select the plot action, they can resolve a plot ability from their card and then discard that card from their hand. If a card has a bow, it means that this plot action can only be used by the princess. If it has the castle, it can only be used by the duke. The plot cards are not only useful for expanding my green pastures, but it allows me to gain cards, store cards, and converting those courtiers. Choosing to pass as an action can sometimes be quite advantageous. The first player to pass gains the edge card. Not only that, they trigger the end of that game round, which means the other player only has 2 turns left before all the cards are drawn back up to the hand. So when the other player has about 10 cards and you have about 6, by choosing to pass, you force that other player to make some very crucial decisions. The edge card is kind of like a little catch-up mechanism, making it easier for you to take certain actions. The edge card allows a player to influence a courtier for 1 less of those icons that I showed earlier. They can counsel any person regardless of the color, and they can plot by changing a courtier back to the neutral color of white. At the end of the round, players move all the carrots off their courtiers, and they draw all their cards back up into their hand, thus having all the options available to them for the next round. There is absolutely no way that I'm going to ever eat my mother-in-law's carrot cake ever again! The end of game is triggered when 3 of the courtier decks are completely empty. When scoring at the end of the game, the player with the edge card scores 2 points. Each player's stored card underneath their character card is worth 2 points. Each carrot card with a number on it adds to the player's total. Include any scoring attributes on cards left in your deck. Look in this table to see how many points you get for each courtier that you have successfully influenced. Gain 1 point for each courtier without a carrot on it that matches your color. Each plot card with a trait matching the trait of a purple courtier at the end of a game is worth 1 point each. There's lots to love about this 2-player quirky bunny divorcing game. First of all, the art components are fantastic. The wooden pieces that you use to make the carrots are very, very chunky and beautifully crafted. The illustrations evoke that beautiful traditional fable, fairy tale-like, story-like quality. This game essentially is a hand management game, and the power of drawing cards really increases your options the more cards that you draw. So drawing cards early on is a very important strategy, because obviously every time you actually end a round, you actually pick up every card in your discard pile, which really breaks this game out from those other deck building games, because you actually have every option in your hand available at your disposal. So this game has an incredible curve. As you get to round 3, round 4, you realize you could have about 7 things that you can do. You could influence, you could then counsel, you can plot. So the cards themselves are very, very well designed. I really like how the cards are actually multifunctional. You've got the card type, you've got the icons, you've got the influence abilities and plot abilities. So each card can be used for several purposes, and that really increases the breadth and the depth of the types of options and things that you can do on your turn. So I really like the fact that it has that very tough decision-making element to it. It's got this beautiful sense of you're struggling to try and sway the courtiers to your side, and then the other person's trying to sway them back, and then all of a sudden they're changing to neutral, and it's this constant competition. It's very, very cutthroat despite the beautiful cutesy theme. There's also an element of randomness to this game where players don't actually know what's in the 5 courtier decks, which can be really, really fun and unexpected, but you could draw cards that you don't necessarily need, or cards that don't benefit you and benefit the other player, or icons that you already have, and it's very, very difficult to try and control that. And the only way to, I guess, get around that is just drawing more and more cards until you get what you want. The game balances out because the actual courtiers themselves have all these special bonus abilities, and you actually get to draw your entire hand, so the cards that you don't want you can use for other things. The final thing that I'll make mention of is that there's this great elaborate scoring system, and I find that there could have been some way to manage the scoring so that players can see what their score is in real time, especially as you store the cards. And I know you kind of stack them underneath your player cards, but having some way to monitor where everyone is at in terms of the score may influence some of the choices and decisions that you have in the game. But it's now time for the final verdict. In considering my final verdict, I think this is a very strong 2-player deck building game. In fact, I think this is probably one of the most fun, interesting, quirky games that I have actually played. And you know what? I do like how designers do push themes and ideas and try things that are immensely different, that are really used to try and engage gamers. And I think you have to be kind of a little bit out of the square in order to get a game out there such as this, and I really love how it works, and I don't even mind that it's about a divorce. Maybe the sequel could be about Princess Lakia finding a new prince and getting married. So if you really love my videos, please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again soon on Board Game Sanctuary. This is Danny signing out. Goodbye.